Hi, John with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and installing Roadmaster's Universal 4-pole diode towbar wiring kit on a 2022 Jeep Gladiator. We're at the front of the vehicle. This is where the electrical signals are actually going to travel from your RV to the towed vehicle. Now, our universal kit doesn't really, it just comes with the diode wiring. However, there are kits available that have a hybrid style cable here. This is going to be coiled on one end and straight on the other, if that works for you. Otherwise, we have another kit that has just a coiled cable all the way. It depends on your towbar systems and how you like it hooked up. And then we also have kits with just the straight cable. You can make it work for your situation. So the diode wiring kit is going to give you the ability to mimic your tow vehicle's electrical signals back to the towed vehicle. Your left turn, your right turn, your marker lights, and your brake lights. It gets you legal and safely down the road without extras like magnetic lights that would hang on here and possibly blow off. This is a real clean install. So the diode wiring actually runs from the front of the vehicle to the back here, and we make our connections back in the taillight housing. We actually pull these off, and it sounds like a bigger job than it is, and we link up to the vehicle system. Now the diodes are going to keep any signals from your RV from backfeeding into your towed vehicle. It's going to protect it. It's going to keep it isolated, so you don't have to worry about your sensitive systems and computer systems in these vehicles getting damaged by a short or an overload. Now with flat towing, there are 5 components that you need to be able to flat tow down the road. Of course, you need the base plate. That's going to be the physical connection on your vehicle to allow the hookups that you need. You're going to need a supplemental braking system, whether that's a portable system or a permanently installed system on your towed vehicle. That's going to allow for a safer and legal stopping experience. You're going to need a tow bar. This is going to be the physical connection between your RV and your tow vehicle. You're going to need your towbar wiring. This is going to transmit all the electrical signals, your turn signals, marker lights, all your braking information that you need through this cord. And of course, the last component is going to be the safety cables. In the unlikely event that one of these parts fails, this will keep your towed vehicle safely behind your tow vehicle. So one of the reasons why I like this kit the most, this is one of our most popular kits. It's really the easiest and cleanest way to get the job done so that you can get towing down the road safely. You have the magnetic lights that are kind of get to be a hassle after a while if you're going to have to take them on and put them off wherever you want to go somewhere. And like I said, the diodes protect your system. That's better than just tapping in with just raw wire and running up to the front. So overall, it's a great kit. It installs pretty easy. It's just clean, and I like it. And if you want to see how we installed it on this Gladiator, stick around. First thing we need to do is we need to run our electric cord from the front to the back of the vehicle. Now what we've done here is we start at the front bumper and we kind of weave it up through the engine compartment up to the top up here. Now we are also installing a braking system on this vehicle. Even if you're not, it's a good idea to leave a loop of cable up here to tie into at a later date should you change your mind. From this location here, we shoot down under the frame and we'll show you how we ran it. So before we head this wiring down along the frame, I went ahead and I separated part of the white wire here and I snipped it. Reason being, we have a ground stud right here on these Gladiators, and then we're going to be using that later with a ring terminal, and we're going to ground out here. And that way we don't have to ground it at the back of the vehicle. So I cut it and I went ahead and stripped the remaining white wire that we're not going to use here because we'll use it in the back. So we've got the vehicle lifted up here so you can see where we ran it. We just came down along the side of the inner fender well, and I went ahead and we peeked into the frame here, and we ran the wire inside the frame all the way to the back shock mount back here, and then we went up and over above the heat shield on the exhaust. The big rule when doing this is to keep away from anything that's moving, and keep away from anything that's hot and sharp. So we followed those rules. We were able to come up, again, over the spare tire, around the back, and then up the left fender well to the tail light housing. We'll show you that now. Now we're going to bring our 4-pole wiring up into the tail light area, and I'll show you how to get that off here. If you drop the tailgate, you're going to have two 8mm screws that we need to pull off. Then you can give your tail light a wiggle and pull straight back. It has two tabs, one on the bottom and one on the top here that go into these, and so it just comes straight back. You'll see your wiring harness here. It has a lock on it. It'll be like that. Go ahead and flip that down, and you're going to press on the black piece in between the two red. That's where you're actually going to get the leverage to open this and disconnect it. Go ahead and set your tail light off to the side. So we went ahead and ran our wiring up. As you can see, there's a ton of room to get your wiring up and everything else. So we're going to go ahead and strip these back. Now, you're not going to see the green wire here. I already stripped it back. That's going to be for our right turn and stop. So I'm going to go ahead and use a trim tool here to release these holds on the wiring. So we can get a little bit more access. And then we're going to peel back this protective cover here so we can access these wires. So once we have our loom and the wires exposed here, we're going to go ahead and pin this out. We need the brake, and we need our running lights. We're going to go ahead and we can test. We can have someone in the vehicle and go ahead and hit the brake lights. And I have a test light that is grounded on the other side here. And we can just go through and touch each pin. Go ahead and let off. And that would be our brake circuit. It's going to be the yellow wire. This is on the driver's side. Next, we're going to be looking for the marker lights, or tail lights or running lights. And we'll go ahead and have the assistant turn on the headlights, and we'll go through. Go ahead and shut the lights off. Back on. Okay, so that's positive. Go ahead and shut them off. And we're looking at this wire here, which appears to be white with a gray tracer. So these are the two wires that we're really interested in on the driver's side here, and we'll be tapping in. So when you get your kit, you're going to get 4 diodes, and they look like this, and they have 2 tabs on the inside and 1 tab on the outside. One of these will be used on the driver's side for your stop and turn, and the other one's going to be used for your tail lights. So the only thing you need to keep in mind is that the outside is always going to go towards the connector. So we're going to go ahead and start with the stop and turn on the driver's side. So we're going to snip the factory wire, the yellow wire that we pinned out earlier. Go ahead. And this has the supplied spade terminals here. We'll go ahead and crimp those on. Go ahead and give it a tug. We're good. Let's put one on the other side. Go ahead and give that a tug. And we can take our diode. The out will go towards the connector, and the in can go on either one. It doesn't matter. Next, we're going to turn our attention to the 4-pole connector wire that we brought up. Now, we are missing some right here, mostly because the green wire that you see will actually go to the passenger side, and this white wire is going to be used for the other diode. So we're only looking at the brown and the yellow right now, and on this particular model here, the yellow is going to be our stop and turn. So that's what we're going to be connecting to the diode that we've just started to hook up. So we'll go ahead, give it a test. And we'll hook that up to our diode. Okay, so essentially on the driver's side, our stop and turn signals are complete. Now our diode wiring for the tail lights is essentially the same thing. There is one difference, and we'll get to that in just a second here, but this is the white and gray wire from the factory running or tail lights, or marker lights, however you want to call them. All of this is the same. Again, supplied connector. And then we'll take the diode. Now I also want to be clear, these two diodes, they can be used, there's not one specific for one function and the other function. These are exactly the same diodes, so don't worry about that. So connector side goes in the out, and then we'll connect the wiring side to the in. Now, from our four-pole flat, this is going to be our running lights, is the brown wire, but in this instance, we have to run a jumper wire over to the passenger side too. So this is what this white wire is here. And I just took some extra white wire that we had from the wire that came with this kit. Now these two are going to get connected together here. And then with your kit, you're going to have a larger, the yellow is a larger connector, and that's what we use this since we're using two wires. We'll go ahead and crimp this one on here. And then that completes the taillight circuit on the driver's side. With the crossover wires that we have, we're going to have the green wire, which is going to be our stop and turn on the passenger side. And then I've got the white wire that I hooked up here. And these are going to be for the running lights on the passenger side. So there wasn't enough green wire, so we did have to get some extra green wire that we had laying around, and we made a connection here. Now, this will get routed under the bumper. So we have the wire, and we're dropping down through the driver's side, and we're going to route this over to the passenger side. And there's plenty of room under here. Again, just avoid hot and sharp items. I'm going up and above the trailer hitch here. So on the passenger side here, the green is going to happen to line up with the green on this Gladiator here. So this will be our stop and turn. Now for the running lights and tail lights, remember this white wire was an extra wire that I used, and this is actually a brown wire from the other side, and that will latch up here to white with an orange tracer or running lights. So with our connections made, you can go ahead and zip tie the loose wires up or run some wire loom, whatever you want to do. On the back side of these diodes, they actually do have double stick tape, so you could stick them in these places here. Just remember to leave yourself enough room for the connector if you need to get to the tail lights again. So we have our wire loom on here. Before I stick these up, since the opening at the bottom is so wide, and this is going to get a lot of dust and dirt, I'm going to go ahead, and I've got some black silicone. We have some here if you don't have any, and I'm just going to kind of fill this in, run a bead along this, and this will keep any dirt or moisture or oxygen that would cause corroding. Go ahead and do these on both sides here. So there does seem to be plenty of room in here to place your diodes. I just went ahead and put them on the back wall here, and we have our connector. And with the pigtail on the lens itself, that's going to be more than enough room for you to get in there and hook it up or disconnect it if you need to. So we're going to go ahead and replace our tail light housing here. Go ahead and click it, push up on the red lock, and these two are going to go here and here. So just kind of line everything up. Give it a push, and then replace the two 8mm bolts. Just snug them up. Okay, with the back of the Gladiator wired up, we can turn our attention up here to the front bumper. Now, the socket that comes in your kit, 6-way, typical 6-way socket. We're just going to be using 4 functions today though, so we'll go ahead and pull this rubber boot off, and that'll expose our terminals on the back side. First thing to do is to put this rubber boot on your wires so you don't forget later. We'll tuck that back there. Now I've already pre-stripped these, and these functions, once again, they're a little bit different on flat toes. So The white's going to be ground, brown's going to be marker or tail lights, and then we're going to have left stop and turn, and then right stop and turn. Now these will go into the turn signal terminals on our socket here. So we can go ahead, and these are all labeled here, and use a number 1 Phillips head. That's a small Phillips. Go ahead and open that up, and we'll insert our ground first. Doesn't matter where you start. These are just set screws. Go ahead and insert the wire and tighten the set screw down. Go ahead and repeat that for the other colors. Now we can go ahead and hook up to our factory grounds, and let's check this out. So before we bolt this up, we're going to go ahead and test our functions. We have a test box here. I don't have one of these at home. If I was at home, or like you could just go ahead and hook this up to your rig or to your RV and test it out here. So this just makes it easier for us here. We're going to look for tail lights. We're going to go to left turn signal. We're going to look for the right turn signal, and then we'll go for brake lights. With everything working, we can go ahead and connect the connector up in the front. We can go ahead and backfill this with RTV or some kind of silicone sealant, and that'll keep, again, the dirt, the moisture, and the oxygen out of there and keep corrosion. Since it's on the front of the Gladiator like this, we can go ahead and attach it to the bracket that was supplied with the base plate hardware, and it came with the hardware kit. And that would complete the installation. And that's it for our look at the Roadmaster Universal Diode 4-pole flat towbar wiring kit on our 2022 Jeep Gladiator.